Hello, everybody. Continuing our journey of astrology as a map of our life. We looked at um, planets, we looked at signs, and that's where we are right now at the signs and zodiac signs. And today I'm going to take us deeper into the zodiac signs and also introduce you to bhavas or houses, which is where actually the birth chart lands on a house. So all of this gets mapped somewhere. The life map. Yeah, so birth chart is a life map. And so let's begin. Let's do a little recap on the zodiac. So here we have the zodiacs that we began with. And let me start. So we have 12 zodiacs, and zodiacs are usually people are very familiar with zodiacs. So these are the names of the zodiacs based on these are English names, right? In India, we have a very different naming system, very different names of all these zodiac signs, and they are actually called rashis. So we also looked at the qualities of each of these signs. There are many qualities. Each sign has so many qualities. These are like the core, like the one quality, distinguish quality that distinguishes each of these signs by, what is distinct about it. So now if we go into zodiac, so what we looked at is the tropical so there are tropical and there are sidereal zodiac signs. And mostly when we say zodiac signs, we're actually looking at solar zodiac signs, right? So where the sun intersects these zodiac signs, or where the sun is in the eastern sky, when the sun is rising, where are these zodiacs? So that is where we actually consider the zodiac. So every planet can be in a particular zodiac, and it can stay there for long periods of time, as we saw as we looked at planets. So in fact, when someone says, what's your zodiac sign, in the English or in the tropical astrology, or in the world, when we look at Linda Goodman and all that, when they say zodiac sign, we're actually talking about solar zodiac signs. But in the Indian way of life, when someone asks you, what's your Rashi, they're actually asking you about your lunar sign, not your solar sign. And many times that's the lunar sign is what is used for prayers and what's used for rituals and things like that. It's not the solar zodiac. And this often is quite confusing. So it's actually not the lunar zodiac, but it's actually the lunar nakshatra. So it's the solar zodiac and the lunar nakshatra. And the nakshatra is something that I'm not going to be covering in this series. I would like to maybe at some point do it as a separate series because it is so complex. So even in India, we are looking at the solar, but it's actually in combination with the moon as well. So here I'm going to show what this, when we say is solar zodiac or the zodiac sign, when you say I'm a Libra or I'm a Virgo, based on a birth date, what does that look like, or what does that mean? So here we have Aries. So here again, we have a catchphrase or something very specific. So Aries is I am. It's the beginning. That's where birth happens and we get born. Yeah. So it's this very merged. So it's the Fool card, kind of like the Fool. So Aries is, if you can see, from March 21st to April 19th, around this time, this is Aries. So they are the ultimate fighters of injustice. They gift the world with the uncommon courage. So it's the ram. So we have Aries, then we have, and with Aries, we enter into spring equinox. So if you see spring equinox is around March 21st, right? And then we have Taurus. Taurus is I have. So Taurus is actually connected with having things. Yeah. So it's wealth, it's all kinds of things that, love and prosperity and abundance. And so it's the bravest of protector. So Taurus is a protector, it's the gift. So once we are born, we really, need to receive love, and we need to be taken care of, the basic needs. we need to be protected. So Taurus is that, uh, the will. So Taurus is also about the will, to will for life, will in life. This is very important. And then comes Gemini. So Gemini uh, is when the article faculty, when our language, when our communication starts dawning, even as you look at the life of a child. So you can see May 21st or June 20th is when the Gemini comes into picture. They are the seekers of knowledge. And when we say twins, it does not mean like any oppositional personality. That's not what, it's not that, but it is, it's a gift, there is the self and the other. So that dawn of that, you know, uh, the ego, dawn of the ego, or me and the other. So this kind of separation, all that is connected with Gemini, because the minute we start thinking, we are actually arriving into knowing ourselves in a very different way than a merged Aries knowing, where it is about I am. And then we become aware of, then there is Cancer, which is about feelings and emotional ability and love and home and mother. And it is about I feel. Yeah. So emotionality is connected to Cancer, and it is always depicted with the crab. And then this is where we enter into this Cancer. So beginning of Cancer, June 21st marks summer solstice, like Aries marks spring equinox, Cancer marks summer solstice, which is the peak of light. Yeah, so we hit peak and then rains come in the northern hemisphere. Okay, and then we have Leo, which is about I will. It's about confidence. It's about showing up in the world, being seen, being fully in the light. Yeah, and it is the lion, like the king of the jungle. They are humanitarians. They are king. They protect. They serve. So it is. So you can see the timeline of that. Then we have Virgo. So Virgo is actually where the intelligence really comes into picture, faculties of analyzing things, perfection, doing, so it's not just getting things done, but really being in that act of um, selfless. So it is about selfless service. There are many aspects to Virgo, since Virgo does come from the root word of virgin, which is also about purity. It's a purity. There's an inner purity about Virgo, about the sign. And then we have the untouched. They're very untouched. They, unlike Leo, who really wants to be seen and praised and loved, and this Virgo is completely on this other side. It is the sixth zodiac sign, and it is about, it doesn't want any light. It doesn't want any light to shine on itself. It is behind the doors worker, leader who's behind the door, visionary who gets things done, who is the mastermind, but doesn't want name and fame. Yeah, so there's always this tussle with Virgo. It doesn't want to come. It doesn't want to come in the front, and like Leo. And then we have Libra. Libra is about, it's not really about balance, really. It is this also the ability to navigate diversity. It is able to meet and move out of different people, having diplomacy, having the skills to communicate with so many different kinds of people, and diversity, and range, and age, and ethnicity, and such differences. Libras can navigate that, yeah, with much ease, uh, and being able to give and take. So they are always that sign which can navigate uh, a wide range, a wide spectrum of people and situations. So that's Libra. And then we have Libra is also the beginning of autumn equinox. So it is when light that has beginning to diminish. Once it reaches peak in summer solstice, light diminishes, and light and dark come into balance here. So now after Libra, light in the northern hemisphere reduces and darkness increases. So Libra is literally that marking of that. And then comes Scorpio. Scorpio is very passionate, and very passionate, and in that way it is also very private. It's a truth seeker. Yeah, Scorpio is really a truth seeker. So sometimes they can come out as really bitter because they speak truth. They speak facts. So Scorpio is the one who might shout out, the emperor has no clothes on. Yeah. So it's that kind of, doesn't care for the feelings many times of others or how it might land. It just speaks. So they are a gift. Scorpios are a gift, but they're also very lonely. They're also very private. This is where the Lord of Scorpio is Mars. So Mars has kind of reached its maturity. So Scorpio, it's also the one that has seen many things in life, all kinds of, because it comes after Libra, where you've met and navigated so many different people and scenarios and situations. You also know the world better. So you also know where people come from, and you also see in the insides and outsides that don't match. So Scorpio is, in many ways, Scorpio is also um, quite lonely, alone. It is connected with death. It is connected to deep, dark mysteries, occult, things like that. Then comes Sagittarius. Sagittarius, they are spontaneous. They are able to see. So they are able to, I see you, that kind of, they are Sagittarius. They are archers in the sense they can see the goal and fire the arrow. So it's like that skill of Arjuna, can see that eye of the fish on a turning wheel and precisely go there. So that's Aquarius. And they have a lot of enthusiasm and love because they've come after seeing life and navigating and finding compassion in their hearts. And then, so this is like, when the soul is maturing, and then comes Capricorn. Capricorn is actually old souls. They're really old souls. They have a lot of wisdom. They are the goats. Yeah, they are about very embodied. They have landed. There's a lot of stillness and quietness. They are sticklers for rule. They can come across as quite disciplinary and strict. And they stand by duty and responsibility. They do not deviate from that. So sometimes the shadows for Capricorn also be that they can get really judgmental if they have not matured, And then and Capricorn is again the beginning of winter solstice. So Capricorn is when the dark has really reached its peak. Yeah, you really move through the peak of darkness, and then there is relief. So from Capricorn comes Aquarius. So after Capricorn comes, I know. So it's not I see, it's I know. So there's a deep sense of knowing in Aquarius. And Aquarius are the visionaries of the world. They're the water bearers. So imagine someone when you're extremely thirsty brings you water. And they are adventurous spirits. Yeah, they inspire freedom. So they are the Aquarius. Yeah. So you can see now we are coming towards the end of the zodiac wheel, and the last is Pisces. So Pisces, after knowing, there's a sense of letting go. Pisces usually, they're altruistic to a fault. That's exactly what Pisces are. Sorry, there's a lot of conversation happening here. Yeah. So my Aries, just came in. My Martian Aries. So Pisces are romantic. Pisces have a deep sense of knowing. From the knowing comes a sense of agreeing to things and the laid backness. They don't take things very seriously. So in a sense, it's also this folding back into the womb kind of attitude with Pisces. So you might know that, God, you don't take anything seriously. You don't pay the bills on time. They don't care for any of those things, But if you have a Pisces, they're very good listeners. They have a lot of compassion to hold such pains of others and show up. And, sometimes they can be very disconnected from ground reality. Yeah. So they are in their own up in the heavens kind of reality. So these are the zodiacs. You can see the dates of these zodiacs. And from Pisces, so Pisces is also like the womb. So when you're in the womb, you don't have to worry about anything. Your mother is eating and the food goes, so nothing has to be done for the Pisces, right? So in that sense, so how the baby is in the womb. So there's that quality here, a quality of eyes closed, living the world. Yeah. So this is where we really also meet the food. And yeah, so so this is how the zodiac wheel of tropical solar zodiac works. But in India, we also, our solar zodiacs the dates don't look like this. They look different. And it's actually called the sidereal solar zodiacs. And in the sidereal solar zodiacs, the crossing of the sun into a zodiac is actually called as Shankramana, Shankranti, Shankramanam, this particular word. So the Shankranti or Shankramana actually uh, marks the beginning of the new zodiac, new Rashi, and it is usually in the middle of the month. Yeah? It usually occurs in the middle of the month, this movement for us, and it's sometimes between 13 to 16 of that. So for example, Aries is called as Mesha in the sidereal in India. Aries is the word used for Aries, is Mesha. Yeah. And in, like every language has a variation, like in Malayalam or from where I come from, it's called as Medam, Mesha. And so when sun crosses Aries or Mesha on April 3rd or 14th, and when it moves from Ashwini, that's nakshatra, based on the lunar nakshatra, Ashwini to Meena to Ashwini, that's when we call that as the beginning of Aries. Yeah. So Aries zodiac, generally the Mesha month in India, the Mesha Rashi begins around April 14th. Generally April 14th. Sometimes it can be 13th, sometimes it also becomes 14th. Yeah, so it is not March 22nd, as is in the case of tropical, and it's not fixed. There might be a slight variation. So Mesha Shankramana, and so our spring equinox is actually April 14th, marks spring equinox. So our Rashis change. So it is middle, April 14th is our spring equinox. Karka or Cancer Shankramana marks summer solstice. So summer solstice is middle of July. Yeah, middle of July marks the beginning of Karka Rashi or Cancer, as opposed to end of June. In this tropical, Tula Shankramana marks autumn equinox, and this is actually in October, mid-October. Then we have Makara Shankranti or Makara Shankramana. It marks winter solstice, and it is in the middle of Jan. It's usually Jan 15th or 16th is when we have Makara Shankranti. And these are important days in India. And so the solar zodiac, so someone who is born on 11th of April will be Aries in tropical astrology, and their solar zodiac will be Pisces in sidereal astrology. So like I am a Libra sun in tropical astrology and a Virgo sun in Vedic astrology. So then your question comes, what do you use? So when you follow the Vedic chart, use the Vedic sun, use the sidereal sun. Okay. And so this is one. So now we looked at 12, let's look at the 12 Rashis of the Indian calendar, the names of it. So we have Mesha, which is Aries. And you can see the symbols and the element, and the ruler of Aries is Mars. Yeah. And so you can see all of that. And then we have Vrishabha, which is Taurus. So Medam, but in Kerala, it is called Edavam. Yeah. And Bull. And you can see the element is earth, sign of ruler of forest. So all these other things don't change. They're the same as in the tropical astrology, only the dates change. And I'm using is just to show you the names. We have Rishabha, we have Mithuna, which is Gemini, Karka, Cancer, Simha, Leo, not Sin, Simha, Kanya, Virgo, Tula, Libra, Vrichika, Scorpio, Dhanu, Sagittarius. So Dhanu Masam is actually considered as the beginning of autumn in India because it comes right after Dhanu Masam is the beginning of winter. Light winter begins. Then comes Makara, Capricorn, which is the marks the end of winter. And then we have Kumbha Rashi, which is Aquarius, and Meena Rashi, which is Pisces. So these are the names of the Indian Rashis or zodiacs. And we have different calendar. So even if we say these are Rashis, sometimes we will see that the calendars also vary in India. So we have different calendars. So we have a solar calendar where the solar months of the calendar are connected to the Rashis. The 12 Rashis that you saw, they also are the months. So Aries, Mesha month. Mesha is not just a Rashi, but Mesha is also the month of that calendar. Yeah, and yeah. So it begins with Mesha. So when we say April 14th is the beginning of Mesha Rashi, it is also the new year. It's also the beginning of the new year in the solar calendar. Okay. So here, yeah. And so this particular solar calendar and this solar new year is observed in many parts of India. So it is in Kerala. So the name you see along with it is the name of that festival. So in Kerala, April 14th is celebrated as Vishu. In Assam, it's celebrated as Bihu. Punjab, it's Baisakhi. Tamil Nadu, it's Varsha Piruppu. Bengal, it is Poila Boishakh. Mithila and Bihar, it is Juj Sheetal. Odisha, it is Bishwa Sankranti. Himachal, Haryana also has the same New Year. Manipur also celebrates that day as its New Year. Okay? So you can see how this calendar is spread across the country. But in the same way, there are also a whole group of people in India who celebrate the lunar calendar. And there are two kinds of lunisolar calendar. So here the Rashis remain the same, the zodiacs remain the same, but the calendar months are based on the moon. So there are two kinds of calendar months, which are called as the Amanta calendar and Purnimanta calendar. And Amanta calendar is also known as Amavasyanta calendar, which is based on the dark moon. So that means the day following the dark moon is when the calendar begins. That means every calendar or every month in Amanta ends in the dark moon, and every month in Purnimanta ends in the full moon. So at the end of the month, you have the full moon in the Purnimanta, and Amanta at the end of the month, you have the dark moon or the Amavasya happens. So the Shukla, the dark moon cycle. So here again, you have to see the dark moon cycle in which Mesha Sankrama occurs or the Aries begins. That is designated as the first lunar month of Chaitra. So here the names are different now. We have Chaitra, Vaishakhi, like that, yeah. So Chaitra month is the month of where the Aries Sankramana occurs, and the full moon before that. Yeah, so in 2023, so this will keep changing because it's based on the dark moon. So the dark moon, the day following the dark moon of that month in which Mesha Sankramana occurs is the beginning of the Chaitra month. So in this year, it has happened on March 22nd. That means March 21st was the dark moon, and March 22nd is when the Chaitra month, Amanta month started. Yeah, it goes all the way till the next dark moon. It goes way to the dark moon. So the full moon before March 22nd was on March 7th. So March 8th marks the beginning of the Purnimanta Chaitra month. Okay, got this? So if you see, so the waxing moon, so here the full moon started and then it meets this Chaitra of Amanta calendars, waxing cycle, right? So the waxing moon is common to both calendars. That's where the Navaratris, which are based on the first 9 days of the waxing moon, is the same in both calendars. It doesn't change. And if you look at Shukla Paksha Pratipada, so if you see the first waxing day of Chaitra month is considered New Year. Okay, so the first waxing day of Chaitra month is considered the New Year. Yeah, so if you look at Shukla Paksha Pratipada, right, that's the New Year in both calendars. So March 22nd becomes the New Year. In both calendars, it's the same because it is the first waxing day of the Chaitra month. Okay. Now, these calendars, as you can see, are followed again in different parts of India. So even in, so this is sometimes cause of a lot of confusion across India because the same, we might look like the same people, but we are all following different calendars. Like in Karnataka follows the Amanta calendar. So their New Year is Yugadi. Or Konkan, it is Gudi Padwa. Maharashtra and Konkan, Goa, it's Gudi Padwa. In Sindh, it's Chiti Chand. UP is Pratipada. Jharkhand, it is Bhikhu or Bhigu. Kashmir, it's Navre. So if it's very interesting that the same land has different dates and different celebrations. So if you can see, Purnimanta calendar is, if you can see, it is part of Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir. So the same areas may have people following different calendars. So this is something to know when we are actually doing astrology and when we're talking about dates and nakshatras and so things like that. Okay. And now let us look at, now we learned about planets. And we learned about Rashis or zodiac signs. Now we want to see which sign, when a planet and a zodiac sign meet, where does the planet gain strength? Like its qualities have room to express, and where does the planet feel restricted and its qualities don't have space to exist in which sign? So let's first start with sun, which is our soul, which is the light, which is about confidence, which is about fully coming into your light and shining, right? That's what the sun shines. The sun shines fully in Aries, yeah, which is a sign ruled by Mars. It's the beginning. So sun really shines in Aries, and in Libra, sun is debilitated. Sun doesn't have its ability to shine. So sun, if you see, is the king. Now Libra is a marketplace. Yeah, sun doesn't go to marketplace to do, in India, we call it len-den, transaction. You take this, I take this, buying, selling. Sun doesn't do that. He has people who do that. So that's why in a marketplace, sun loses because he can't shine in all this crowd of people. He needs his arrival to be announced and everyone's attention is on the sun, right? That's the sun. So in Libra, sun doesn't shine. Sun loses its strength, its ability to be confident and shine. That is gone away. And sun, we know, rules Rio, which is fifth. Number 5 is connected with sun. Now let's look at moon. Where does the moon really gain strength? Yeah, this is interesting to know. The moon rules Cancer, yeah, and it is exalted in Taurus. Yeah, Taurus is the land, the earth. It is yeah. So all the things that the queen needs get resourced from here. So Taurus is about beauty, aesthetics, all that is connected to Taurus, and moon loves that. Yeah, the queen can really be in her beauty, choosing her essential oils and her silk fabrics, and in that sense, it's something about that. So Taurus is very much about the body and embodiment. So that's where moon really exalts in moon. So moon can really be herself emotionally. And in Scorpio, moon is debilitated. In the sense, if you look here, go to Scorpio. Yeah, Scorpio is Martian, lonely, alone, there's no, that sense of joy is not there in Scorpio. Scorpio has seen so much depth in life, so much battles that it has no, not much joy for beauty and this aesthetic. That's not Scorpio. So moon, when it is in Scorpio, it doesn't like it. It really doesn't enjoy. It cannot be herself because there's doom and goriness. Yeah, and that doesn't support Cancer. Cancer can really become melodramatic and sad and tragedy. So tragedies. So moon and Scorpio brings a lot of tragedy in life. Okay. Now we look at Mars. Now, if you just think about it, Mars, where does Mars gain strength? Yeah. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. So Mars rules two signs, Aries and Scorpio. And it is exalted in Aries. So Aries is the beginning, it has confidence. It's the beginning of the battlefield. The soldier, the general is like young and robust, and he has energy and enthusiasm, and he has valor, and Aries is also a dharma planet, and Mars is a dharma planet. So it follows that is dharma, and is all these young perspective, So it's about winning and that. So you can see how the general is fully in his agency in Aries, and that's why Sun gets exalted in Aries as well. And like the moon gets debilitated in Scorpio, Mars get debilitated in Cancer. Mars. The general with his defenses, his armor, gets very uncomfortable with the queen and her sensitivity. That doesn't work for the Mars. You can't let his guards down like that in front of the queen. It's very threatening for the general. So the general and the queen get very uncomfortable in Scorpio. General and the moon. Yeah. So the Mars and the moon. Yeah. So you can see Mars and the moon do not like each other and to be in each other's homes. And then comes Jupiter. So Jupiter is the wisdom teacher, the sage of the zodiac. And if you look at it, so it rules Sagittarius and Pisces. In Cancer, while Mars gets debilitated in Cancer, Jupiter gets exalted in Cancer. It gains strength in Moon. So Moon's counsel, the presence. So Moon really calls upon Jupiter. So Cancer, in the house of the Moon, in the chambers of the Queen, Jupiter finds the one who is in awe and who is listening and who is really seeking counsel, and finds his perfect student in many ways in the Queen. Yeah? So that's why Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. And in Saturn, Jupiter gets debilitated. So Jupiter gets debilitated in Capricorn. And you remember, if you go back to the signs, you'll see that Capricorn is slum. So slum means, what does it mean? It means the basic needs of food, clothing, shelter. These people are struggling with this in the slums, right? So knowledge. So to come to Jupiter, these basic needs have to be met with. If you're struggling with if you're in survival mode, Jupiter, you are not listening to Jupiter. You have no need for Jupiter. Knowledge is useless. Yeah. So Jupiter, that's why if a guru is put in a slum, that's why it has no use. People are not listening. They don't want it. They don't want your knowledge. In many ways, it is like that. They want food, they want clothing, they want shelter. And they want then to once that is taken care of, then they can show up to listen in comfort and leisure to Jupiter. So Jupiter is about luxury and also that. So that's why in Cancer, in the Queen's chamber, Jupiter loves. Because in the Queen's chamber, everyone is at rest. It's the Great Mother. Everyone, all kinds of people are at ease in Cancer. So because Moon has no enemies, Moon is neutral with everybody. So everyone in the Queen's chamber relaxes. So Jupiter can speak, everyone listens. Now we come to Saturn. Now Saturn is a stickler for rules. Saturn stands with the underdog. So Saturn loves the slum. And Saturn is exalted also in the marketplace. So marketplace, or in Libra, Saturn again rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Saturn loves Libra. And why does Saturn love Libra? a marketplace. If you see, if you've gone to any marketplace in the world where all kinds of things are sold, all ranges of things are sold, that's a marketplace. I'm not talking about a mall. Mall is not a marketplace. Marketplace, you have to come to see, you have to go to places like India and Middle East and all of the South Asia, where common person, they are selling, they build, create, make things, they are selling. So all ranges of things, people are screaming, all kinds of people. You have thugs and you also have the noble, and everyone is there. And there Saturn loves being there because everyone has a place, equal place in the marketplace. Nobody is judged, right? So this sees this wild Saturn loves, feels strong. The sun doesn't. So sun and Saturn, they don't like each other. They're not comfortable with each other. Where Saturn is, sun is not comfortable. Saturn and sun are at the same house. It's going to be very difficult. So someone's relationship. So Saturn is actually in story. Saturn is the son of solar, is son of sun. Yeah. And they do not get along at all. Yeah? And because the Saturn will question the sun's connection to his grandeur and his fame. Saturn does not like that. He will be like, come down. Don't be so big. Come down. Be with the common people. Yeah, so that's Saturn, right? And then Saturn is debilitated in Aries. Of course, if Sun is exalted in Aries, then Saturn doesn't like the Martian who is just ready to go for battle. And, Saturn doesn't. Saturn is like, no, we don't want war. Let us look at it. So that's Saturn. He starts his questions. This fascination for war. Saturn is the oldest planet. Is in the sense it is the oldest sage, really old. So if you have Saturn, wherever Saturn sits, the merits of that house you only get towards the end, not in the beginning. Now from here we go into Mercury. So if you look at Mercury, it's actually the first planet to the sun. So where does Mercury again? So if you look at other than sun and moon, all the other planets, they rule two planets. They rule two signs. Only sun and moon, they rule one zodiac. So Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So, Gemini is about outgoing, speaking the truth, seeker of truth. Virgo is perfection. Virgo are really compassionate. They don't like to be in the limelight. So Mercury is exalted in Virgo. Mercury is about communication, intelligence. So Virgo is analyzers. They are the one who analyze. They have this ability to intellectually hold knowledge, to be in the neocortex, the higher thinking. So that's the skill of Virgo. And so Mercury is exalted in Virgo. Yeah. And in Pisces, it is debilitated. So Pisces is the last sign. They are the most impractical sign of all the zodiac, right? And Mercury is about intelligence and practicality and being able to see and think and analyze and make decisions. In Pisces, you can't do that. It's in this romantic world. So, so Mercury completely loses its strength in Pisces. Now we come to Venus. So Venus is the planet, the princess, right? We spoke about princess, the daughter of the moon and the sun, and Venus is about beauty and aesthetics and body and sexuality and reproductive, the ability to have, enjoy intimacy and sex, and that's Venus. And Venus actually rules two signs that we know are Taurus and Libra. So Taurus is about the body, relationship with body, and Libra is relationship with others. Yeah. So Libra is the seventh house in the astrological house. It's number 7, 2, and 7, right? And they are separated by 6. Yeah. So 2 and 7, and Venus is exalted in Pisces. So Venus loves that, this romanticized, impractical, dreamy, world of Pisces, Venus loves, because that's what Venus is. She's about beauty. So when Venus and Pisces come together, we have people who write fairy tales and these kind of very romantic lives, and those kinds of movements can happen. Yeah, fantasizing, fantasy story writing. If Mercury is also good, these kind of imagination. And the Pisces is all about imaginations and dreams. So when Venus and Pisces come together, that gets a whole new perspective. And in Virgo, which is the most practical sign, again, Venus doesn't work. Yeah, Venus loses its potency. Virgo. Yeah. And now we come to the Rahu and Ketu. And this I don't so much, they are not so much associated with sign, but even though people are recently associating them with signs, I would just say that they are not, I don't want to go there or give that kind of thing, but yeah, so those are about that. Rahu and Ketu, we can just see them as outsiders. That's where we are born here, incarnated here to experience and to integrate a Rahu Ketu axis. So, yeah. And now we come to, again, looking at the signs in these three ways: visionaries, warriors, change makers. So we all have these qualities of starting, initiating something. Yeah. To initiate something, then we have to be able to see it through. We can have a zillion ideas. There are people who come up with the brilliant ideas, but then if you don't have the ability to put it into doing, that just stays with these dreaming ideas, right? To be able to do these ideas is a different energy. And even after doing it, yeah, staying there, doing it, and at some point seeing, this doesn't work, we need to change it, to completely erase and recreate something. So they are the change makers. So these all three require different energies. So one is the Brahma Shakti, the Vishnu Shakti, and the Shiva Shakti. So the first one, the initiators, the cardinal signs have the Brahma Shakti, the creative energy. The fixed signs, the doers, they are the warriors. They have the Kriya Shakti or the Vishnu Shakti. And then comes the mutable or changes, who not just complete things, but they also change it. They also have the ability to change and transform, and that's the Shiva Shakti. So you can see these signs also based on how they are divided. So we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini. They belong to these three different energies. Yeah, Aries are the beginners, Taurus are the ones who are actually love doing, So Aries might be like planting a seed, and Taurus are the ones who really, Aries has the idea of growing a field. It says, it would be so wonderful to have this, They create the landscape, and then come the Taurian has the ability to plant those seeds, till the ground, do this dirty work, till the ground, plant the seeds, water, nourish. And then these things come and they sprout and things like, after some time, again, that has to be destroyed. You can get so attached to it that, you never want to change. But then comes another and it changes it, right? So each level, if you see, it gains maturity. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Then we have Cancer, Leo, Virgo. Then we have Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So these three, so we can also see this is the maiden, mother, queen, crone energies in my work in the 4 dimensions. So these are different energies. Each energy gains deeper insight as it goes to the next level. Okay, and now we come to bhavas. So I want to introduce bhavas and pause here for today. So we looked at planets, we looked at signs, and now we are looking at bhavas or houses. So houses are also called as bhavas, and bhavas really mean emotions, emotionality, sentimentality, sensitivity. They are also the fields of action where different areas of life are highlighted. And the houses are directly related to the time of our birth. And houses meet planets and zodiacs and form the building blocks for our birth chart. So from birth to our death, what are the infinite possibilities that this movement, this moment, that all these planets came together, which is not just an independent birth, but it is a interrelated, interdependent birth based on something that has gone before. And that is the foundation on which we build what is here, and the free will and the destiny, free will and fate that is available. And how can we agree to a fate so we have more free will? So all this is what the birth chart really reveals through the bhavas, through the houses. And we will specifically be looking at the D1, which is actually our Rashi Bhava based on the zodiac signs and the planets at the point of birth. So we are not, so it's a general birth chart, which is the most common birth chart used. And I will be specifically looking at the Indian chart, the Vedic chart. Yeah, North Indian would be my main go-to. I will be telling you about both the birth charts that are prevalent in the Indian continent, which is a rectangular or square chart, not a circular chart. That's what I will be using it. So that is where we are going to go next, is really going into the birth chart where everything lands, all the wisdom, and we can start seeing integration, interrelation, interconnectedness of signs, personalities, how they all come into action. And a whole trauma of life begins. So that's where I will pause for today. And coming back to where we are. And I hope this is already opening up things for you. And now I would also invite you to maybe go to a site and get your birth chart, get your birth chart, get it in the North Indian way, because that I feel is what I use. And so that's what I will be doing most of the analysis with. So you can also start creating your own. Yeah. And I use the wisdom to know myself, my chart, and my relationship with my planets and my fate, than looking at it so much for others. Yeah, because I feel like, because the possibilities of a planet in a particular house in relationship with a sign or another planet is infinite. So as I tap into my own deep behaviors, patterns, I can see insights, I can gain insights, because that's something I know. So if I'm struggling with a pattern, I see, so this is where I need, and what can support me, what can help me here? How do we honor what is for something more to become available? So this is and tread with dharma and moksha, and moksha, dharma, artha, kama, towards moksha. So that's why I use the chart, so we can make our movement towards moksha, to feel the ease of being in this breath and this life, to receive it more and more in this life, in the here and now, to be able to access that. So that's what my primary reason for people to know their chart is. So continue this. Next, we will go into understanding the birth chart and how you can start building a relationship with the planets and signs in your birth chart. So blessed be. Hope you enjoy.